on Tuesday, the 19th of August, 2025. It's Coffee Time with Peter Gomez on West Coast Radio. Also, Dr. Ismaila Cisse with us during this second hour of the program. And we'd like to recognize our sponsors, Global Auto Care, EcoBank, Wave, Tough Africa Global, Trust Bank, Jar Oil, Global Properties, and JFIN. And now we can return to Dr. Cisse. And of course, I'll be taking your questions later on in the program.
Yes, I think one of the questions has to do with why Seyfos are asking for $5,000 for land transactions, even though that all the required payments have been made. The government, there was a press release, I think, some time ago from the Ministry of Lands, which says that, which gave directive to Alkalos and Alkalos to stop requesting for money for land transactions. So it's not a government policy, and government doesn't condone it. Now, it is a tradition and customary that people offer gifts to Alkalos when they do land transactions, but this is not government policy and it is not by law. What I can confirm to you is that the practice of requesting or imposing payments of $5,000 by Alkalos or Seyfos for land transactions is not allowed and it's not accepted.
If you don't pay that money, you won't get the necessary Alkalo certificate.
Well, what I know is that...
So to tell us that it's a gift, it's not a gift.
No, but if
demanded of you.
If an Alkalo or a Seyfo is not wanting to do his job without the payment, take necessary action. Report that person to the Ministry of Lands, because they're under the authority of the Ministry of Lands. Sometimes we need to...
what would the ministry do in this case?
They'll do what they're supposed to do.
They'll force him to give you this certificate.
They're supposed to do it. They're not supposed to be paid for it. Now, if you want to give them after they doing it, that's what. But if you cannot impose. The ministry is very clear in that, in a press release, that they cannot impose that payment on people. And if you don't want to pay it, you don't have to pay it, and they must give that service to you. Now, if they don't, there's an authority which deals with Alkalos and Seyfos. Report them to the authority.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now with NAWEC, someone called from Serekundanding, I think, that they fixed the poles, they brought the cables, but still the last final touch is not there. Yeah. I spoke with the Minister of Energy yesterday, Honorable Nani Juara. He said that this is not only Serekundanding, Combo East, CRR, and Foni. This is part of what they call the ECOWAS Electricity Access Project. These communities have benefited from it. Before December, it will be commissioned and they'll get electricity. They're just doing the final touches now, but he's giving me assurances that before December, these communities, Serekundanding is part of it, some parts of communities...
Now against the 30th of November?
No, say end of December.
Well, you said before December.
Sorry, I got that wrong. He said before the end of December. Before the end of December, okay. They will commission this project and they'll get electricity if everything goes well. So this is the response from the minister.
So Ablai, that's your answer.
Yes. Now for road safety, about what the government is doing to work with young, how do you call them, creators to promote awareness and sensitization. I engaged the National Roads Authority. They have a strategy in place, which is called the National Road Safety Strategy 2021 to 2030. Even though they don't specifically work with young creators, but they work with communities to promote road safety. They'll take note of the suggestion, and they'll make sure that they integrate this when they do projects to promote road safety. But road safety is everybody's business. And then I think all drivers, people who are on the road, should make sure that we drive carefully and don't overspeed. Now, when it comes to corruption, I said, what can we do to give tips? I spoke with Jari, there's what they call a hotline, a toll-free number, which is 422-3641. That anybody who is suspicious of any act which has to do with corruption by public officials, particularly Jari, you call this number and give tips.
What's the number again?
422-3641. And whistleblowers are always protected. So it's everybody's business to fight corruption. Like I said, the government of the Gambia under the leadership of His Excellency the President, is committed in fighting corruption, and we are taking all possible measures to fight corruption. So therefore, anybody who sees any suspicious behavior, anybody who asks you for money under dubious circumstances, you can report that person to the nearest police station, or if that person is a police officer, if you go to the police headquarters, you can report, or if that has to do with a GRA official, you call this toll-free number, and action will be taken. So, but what I can confirm is that we have zero tolerance on corruption in this country under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, Adama Barrow. Now, I think those are and finally, Peter,
yes,
a phenomenon which we need to also send a very strong signal that government will not sit by and let it happen is the so-called drifting. We've started sentencing so-called drifters who break the law through drifting. We have zero tolerance on this as a government. We are not going to accept it. Nobody can break the law in this country and go scot-free. Anybody found wanting in this country, whether you are drifting or breaking any law, the full force of the law will be applied. So we warn young people who are engaged in this activity to stop this very dangerous menace, which is a public safety hazard. We will not accept it as a government, and we'll take all measures to make sure that anybody who is found doing this activity, particularly in public spaces, the law will deal with you. These are updates from government.
All right. First question I want to ask, and already I have so many questions coming, from the listeners for you. Apparently, and this, if it's ever happened, has not happened, in a very long time. For 6 to 7 months, the price of fuel was stable at, a given amount. At the beginning of August, it went up to 82.50 for one, 82.63 for another one. But the 82.60 seems to have gone up to 85, I think 40 now. That's diesel. That's diesel.
Is it across all the petrol stations?
Well, and in fact, for the past few days, drivers have been complaining, and commuters will commuters will have been complaining. I even sent a complaint to the minister that drivers have unilaterally, raised fares.
Okay.
It's because diesel was raised, but it was not communicated. Like, whenever there's a raise. Why?
So what I know is that once every month, at the beginning of every month, the standard price is sent out. That is the basic price for fuel in the pumps. Now, the price of fuel in the pumps in the Gambia is pretty much determined by the global price of Brent crude.
Of course, we know that.
So perhaps that is the reason. I don't know. What I can do is that immediately after here, I'll now engage because the question came, the last month, Secunda, we had the Minister of Energy there. And the question did not talk about the increase in the price of diesel. It talked about how different petrol stations have different prices, some lower and some higher. And the answer was that some petrol stations, I don't want to advertise for anybody, normally give a discount. That is why if the basic national price is 85, for example, some do 84, because they knock off $1 as a discount. But to say the reason why there's an increment in diesel, it has to do, to my understanding, with the global increase of diesel price. I'm not sure, but to be on the safe side, I think it's better I engage the minister for me to get the full explanation of that.
Should it be made mandatory for stations to display the price?
But they do it.
No, they don't. They haven't. They did it at the beginning of the month. They did it, all right? Every time when I drive to work, there's a particular fuel station, I watch the display. And the permanent secretary or permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Finance and the minister himself will tell you that at the beginning of every month, whenever there's a change in the price, I would call them directly to say, is this the official price? There was a time when the price went up, it was illegal, and when I flagged it, the minister intervened and it came down again. Syndicator will listen to this recording, all right? But what happened when they raised the price of diesel? All the stations, all of them, turned off their displays.
Even on the machine itself? Because there are two displays. There are two
the
displays.
The main one, the big one.
So there's a big one,
Yeah.
which shows the price.
Yes.
Then there is also on the pump
Well, on
itself.
the pump itself,
It shows that per liter, what is the price?
They would have to.
And that is
I
there.
can't,
They'll have to.
you know, but I'm saying the main display is the one.
Because I hope Pura is listening, because Pura regulates the OMCs in terms of.
And that's the disappointment. All the stations, including this one that that I saw, brought back the display this morning, turned it off.
Okay.
And
so I think Pura will take note. I'll engage both Pura and the ministry. And I think this is something which is a concern to us, if that is the case.
The display should always be on, because I have a choice to go in and say,
well, this is what we expect now. Feedbacks like this from the public, so the government can take appropriate action, because government is not everywhere every time. So feedbacks like this, bringing these concerns, will make us now make sure that we take appropriate action. We'll engage Pura and the ministry immediately after here, to see what can be done to make sure that there is sanity. And we also urge OMCs to do what is right, that to display prices, but also not to increase prices beyond what is accepted. Now, the reason why diesel has gone up, I'm not sure. That one I can find out, if it has to do with the global market environment.
Speaking of Pura, what is happening, with this data price war?
Well, it's a competition.
Yeah, but it's hurting consumers. People tell you now, you have data you can't access, the internet.
Well, we'll talk about that.
You'll talk about it on another day. Yes. All right. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you please ask the minister, how are they doing to help residents of Yuna and Mariama Kunda about the road? Because it's very bad. And what can the government do to help us?
The road,
Yuna and Mariama
roads are under construction. That is my understanding. I think I'm not sure how far the work has done, but I know that they're under construction. That I can confirm.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask Mr. Cisse, Dr. Cisse, why did the government refuse to allocate SRFAL the land that he already paid for? Don't you think this is discouraging Gambians in the diaspora to invest in the country?
I don't understand that question, to be honest. I don't know. But the issue is a bit complex, because you hear different side of the stories.
What is the government side of the story?
To be honest, I can't remember that one. To be honest, I don't want to talk about something that is not very clear to me.
Good morning, Uncle P. I would like to ask the Honorable Minister what steps the government is taking to digitize the retirement process. It is disheartening to see people who have served the government faithfully for decades struggle to access their benefits. Some even pass away before receiving their rightful deserves. Many elderly retirees are unable to get through the lengthy procedures due to health and age-related constraints. Could the minister kindly shed light on how they are addressing this important issue?
I know some pension reforms have been done by the Minister of Public Service under the leadership of Minister Boy, and they've also streamlined the pension services. Now, specifically what problem is referring to, I'm not sure, but I know that the pension reforms have been done, and that now it's easier for pensioners to now receive their money. Now, I'm not sure the challenges that are there, but by and large, when it comes to digitization, Public Service Ministry is working on that to make sure they digitize not only pensions, but also they're digitizing even, I think even salaries now. Everything is paid automatically digital. And even now applying for public sector jobs, there's a portal. You have to go. So they're clearly digitizing. Yes, there are still more to be done, but a lot of work has been done to digitize the systems in the public service.
Somebody wants to know why Pura doesn't, in their language, want affordable internet for Gambians by telling Comium to adjust their internet tariffs.
I cannot speak for Pura in this particular specific case, because I don't know the thinking behind it. But broadly speaking, you also have to avoid what they call a race to the bottom, where you allow a situation where tariffs will be in a manner in which, it will also hurt the economy. Because remember, Gambia relies on taxation. And if you have a situation where now MNOs, which really contribute a lot to the revenue of this country, start to earn less because of this race to the bottom or this price wars, it also hurts government revenue as well. So there should be some standard. That is why we have a regulator. Pura is to regulate the market to avoid unfair competition, but also ensure that the national interest is protected, but also citizen and consumer interest is also protected. So Pura has to play that balancing act of making sure that there's healthy competition, There's also national interest, as with the nation, the government's state's interest has to be considered, but also to make sure the citizens, the consumers are also protected. Now, these things is a very difficult balancing act. So PURA makes decisions based on these, and sometimes some will not be happy either or, like in any balancing act. Some will feel disadvantaged, but PURA is doing everything possible to make sure that the consumers are protected and that consumers get value for money.
Greetings, Uncle Peter and Doctor. Could you please ask Doctor why the qualifications for President is not raised to at least BA, but deposit can be justified unconvincingly? 2, what is the post-agreement for bread price increase when bakers fail to fulfill their responsibilities for the size of bread? The type of bread Senfour I saw in Farafenni is definitely not the size compared to the one in Kombo.
Well, there are regional differences in the weight of bread. I'm not sure about that. I think there is a competent body to look at that. The Standards Bureau should really...
Babukar Usmaila Juf is
Exactly.
You should provide an answer
for that. So when it comes to the fees for the presidency, like I said, as a government, we did not take that to this parliament that raised the fees. The electoral bill that government took to parliament, those fees were not raised in the electoral bill as we took to parliament. Now, if parliament, in its wisdom, thinks that the best thing to do is to raise these fees to bring some...
It's parliament that raised the price of bread?
Parliament makes laws. Government takes bills to parliament, but parliament decides these laws.
So this was a bill?
No, not the bread.
Well, we're talking about bread.
No, the first question he asked was the electoral...
Oh, okay.
I'm answering the electoral one. He said that why qualification is not increased, but also I'm answering that as a government, I can speak for government, not for parliament. As a government, the bill we took to parliament, the prices that now are reflected in the bill were not the one we took to parliament as a bill. Now, if parliament now, in their
So you never proposed 1 million as the deposit?
Government did not propose that. That needs to be clear. That's parliament that looked at the electoral bill and made those increments in the electoral bill. But when we took the bill to parliament as a government, through the Ministry of Justice, those were not reflected in the bill. So if parliament now...
What were your figures?
I think we left it as it is. I cannot confirm, but I think it's my thinking that we left it as it is in the 1997 Constitution. In the existing electoral bill. We are trying to bring a new one. In the existing electoral bill, I think we just left it as it is. But parliament looked and realized that, it's important that they raise this. Now, what is the rationale and justification for that? I wouldn't speak for parliament. I don't know the reason for that, but this is the situation. Now, when it comes to the qualification bit about from the bachelor's degree, to be honest, that would be highly discriminatory if we want to bring that kind of law.
Okay. Why are virtually all 50 km OIC roads flooding and without drains to safely convey water from the roads? Also, why is the coastal road leading to Tabokoto abandoned in its terrible state?
No, I'm not sure about the statistics that all 50 are flooding. I don't think so. Yes, if there are challenges, remember, Peter, building roads in existing communities that are already developed is difficult. And sometimes you wouldn't know where the water will pass, and there can be challenges sometimes in the forced rains. Remember the Banjul project? Remember it also happened, the same thing happened. After the forced rains came, Banjul flooded to the extent that the city's mayor was there, the president was there, engineers were there to see exactly, but it is resolved. So sometimes with new roads in congested areas where waterways can be difficult to exactly pinpoint and know, the forced rains will be a learning curve for us to know exactly where the problem is, and it is resolved. Now we are taking stock. Engineers are at work right now looking at all these roads that are flooding to know exactly what needs to be done, and it will be fixed before the rainy season. For now, we urge the public to be patient with us. We don't have the...
Did you say they would be fixed before the rainy season?
No, before the next rains will come. Okay. We wouldn't see flooding. So what I'm saying is that the government has no intention of building roads that will bring discomfort to the public. What is the point of building the roads? We want to build the roads so the public can benefit from it. So if there are challenges in this building, in this construction, because of waterways and how the waters will pass and so on and so forth, there are challenges. Engineers are working day and night to make sure that they know where the problem is and they'll fix it.
If Abdullah Sanyang's comments are considered as a threat to national security, what of Sidi Njai's too against UDP? Why is he, I suppose Sidi, not arrested yet?
Like I said, Abdullah Sanyang's case is under police investigation, and I cannot comment on police investigations.
You don't deem Sidi's statement to be...
What did CD say that is a threat to national security? I mean, I don't even know what he said that is a threat to national security. I'm not aware of it. So, but for Sanyang, I cannot comment. It's on a police investigation.
Sidiki Suno from Farava Banta. Is government aware, considering the risk that these kid drifters pose to the security, life and well-being of Gambians? What is stopping them from creating a section within the police PIU specifically to deal with these rude kids? The level of indiscipline is unprecedented in this country.
Well, like I said, the police are doing their job. They are arresting people who are breaking the law, the so-called drifters, and they've been sentenced. I've just read this morning that one of them was sentenced yesterday. Some of them are in remand, waiting for trial. And I think now what the government is doing, the judiciary is doing, is to speed up these cases. Like I said, we have zero tolerance on this drifting, and the police will do their job, and anybody who's found doing this practice, particularly putting lives at risk, will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
Greetings, Uncle Peter, and the Information Minister. Can you kindly relay this to the Works Minister, that the coastal road heading to Wellingara Tabokoto is badly damaged, seriously damaged. People, commuters and drivers struggle daily, especially when it rains. It causes a lot of discomfort. How can they help us? People living here really need urgent solution. And this is from Alex Badunyang.
Well, we don't have an intention to bring discomfort to any citizen. If that is the case, we're really sorry for the discomfort. These are part of the road constructions. Now, road construction sometimes, if the rains come, it can pose very serious challenges. I remember when they were building the Batel Harding Highway, it was a big discomfort for many motorists and pedestrians. But now everything is good. So I think, like I said, let the public be patient a bit. Our aim is to build all these roads in a manner in which people can now enjoy these roads. Now, if in the process there are some discomforts, we really apologize for that. But the intention is not to bring discomfort. We will not bring discomfort to any Gambian intentionally. The purpose is to build these roads. And during the construction, there are challenges. And these challenges, I think the public should be patient with us. We'll fix all these roads. And then very soon we'll not talk about these roads as well. The most important, at least we are building the roads. And nobody can tell me that what was there before was better than this. Now you take this road from Kololi here towards Bijilo. If it rains, yes, you get some discomfort, but what was there before was worse. It was like lakes before. When you go, you can't even drive your cars there. That brought congestion. So at least we are getting somewhere. That is the most important. At least we are building the roads. Yes, there are challenges. We'll deal with this, but the most important, we are building the roads.
Uncle Peter, good morning. Please relay this message to Dr. Cisse. Gambians are really struggling when it comes to health in this country, especially at EFSTH. I fought tooth and nail yesterday to get lab results that we couldn't get from the hospital. And it cost $1,000 by private labs just opposite the hospital. Well, I don't want to insinuate if there is a deal between the hospital and these labs, but the whole truth is that Gambians are struggling. They allegedly said the machine has an issue and should be fixed today. Gambia is sad.
Well, I think sometimes it's unfair for people to generalize and use their one-off experiences as a general reflection of what is happening in the healthcare sector. And this is very common in this country. When the healthcare sector treats 999 people and takes care of their ailments in 1 year, in 364 days in the year, nobody talks about it. But the 265th day, there is one death, and people say the healthcare sector is collapsing. So the healthcare sector is better off today under His Excellency the President than it was previously. Yes, there are challenges. Now we've got more equipment. In fact, I'm now working on collating the data on all the achievements and interventions and investments we have done in the healthcare sector, and I'll bring it and discuss it here with you so the people know exactly what has changed in the healthcare sector in the past 7 to 8 years. Serious, huge improvements in the healthcare sector in terms of access to equipment, in terms of access to good doctors and good consultants and specialists, in terms of training facilities. The EFSCS has changed, and I wish you could send a reporter there today and see what is happening there. Now, if there are some challenges, even in the in rich countries, sometimes there are challenges in the healthcare sectors, and sometimes government is rebuked for those kind of challenges. So we are doing best, all we can do to make sure government have access to quality education, quality healthcare. But if there are challenges, yes, we understand that, we'll deal with those challenges. But the most important thing is that the investments and the transformations we have done in the healthcare sector in the past 8 years are immense. And I'll share this with the public because we are now working on the data. In terms of the access to the equipment, radiology equipment, scanning equipment, you name it. In terms of the investments, it's huge. So yes, there can be challenges, but it doesn't reflect the general condition of the healthcare sector. The healthcare sector has improved significantly over the past years.